Nick Diaz is coming back to the octagon, coming back to the UFC, and he's coming back to winning ways. But who is it going to be against? How we doing, everybody? Now, Nick Diaz is one of the most loved fighters in all of mixed martial arts. People just love his never say die attitude, the warrior spirit that he has, and just the entertainment, the fun fights that he puts on time and time again. One of my personal favorites was back in Strikeforce, Nick Diaz versus Paul Daly. Oh my God, what a war that was. Holy shit! Now, Nick Diaz, the man has a professional record of 26 wins with 10 losses, 13 knockouts and 8 submissions. But the reality is that he's not getting any younger. I think he's 39 years old. And sadly for Nick Diaz, he's lost his last 4 in a row. Those 4 being to Carlos Condit. That was for a welterweight interim championship. Then he lost to George St. Pierre for the title. He had a fight which was a loss to Anderson Silva, overturned because Anderson tested positive for steroids.
All you motherfuckers on steroids.
And then, of course, last time out, UFC 266, we saw him go up against Robbie Lawler. Now, in that fight against Robbie Lawler, the facts have come out now. Cesar Gracie has come out and done an interview and revealed some things. Now, we know in that fight, UFC 266, Nick Diaz showed up, and it wasn't a good version of himself, okay? He was a little bit overweight. At the last minute, they changed the weight class from 170 to 185, okay? And everyone thought this was a little strange, a little puzzling. Maybe it's just Nick Diaz doing what Nick Diaz does. We all know he likes to, you know, sing or dance to his own tune and mess the UFC around a little bit. Dana always says dealing with the Diaz brothers is something of legend, shall we say, to put it politely. So we thought maybe that was just Nick Diaz doing his thing, but no. Cesar Gracie came out this week and he revealed some things. He said, so Nick went into that fight and his neck was pretty messed up. Robbie's a tough fighter, a great fighter, all that stuff. So Nick was doing great. And then you kind of see Nick kind of just fading as the fight wore on. He said, so Nick just had an operation very recently, 7 weeks ago. 2 of the discs that he had in his neck were ruptured before the fight, so he was having a lot of numbness in his hands, and that's why he couldn't make 170 pounds. So yeah, I mean, there you go. I have suffered with that injury myself. You might be able to see a little scar on my neck there. It does cause a loss of strength. It causes atrophy on one side. That's your muscles deteriorating. It causes numbness and just general goddamn pain. So if you're going through that, it's hard to train. It's hard to apply yourself. Certainly hard to spar. You don't want people choking your neck out. You don't want people hitting you in the face because it's bad on your neck. So there we go. I mean, that makes a lot of sense now, you know. So going back to the operation, Cesar Gracie came out and said, listen, we were finally able to go ahead and get the operation. They put titanium discs in his neck, so he's feeling great from that right now. And it's like we have the old Nick Diaz back, which is really good. He said right now he can only run and hit pads and everything, but he definitely wants to fight. And the UFC, I've been in contact with them and they just actually called me the other day asking about Nick, and there's some pretty cool fight options that are in front of us. And there we go. That brings us to the purpose of this video. Some pretty cool fight options for Nick Diaz. We all want to see Nick Diaz fight. I'm sure he wants to fight. I'm sure he wants to get a few more paydays. And I believe we're going to see him fight, hopefully, before the end of the year. We know Nate Diaz is fighting Khamzat Chimaev. A lot of people have mixed feelings on that fight. Some people, like Dan Hardy, said there should be criminal charges against the UFC, which is just fucking hilarious. I love you, Dan, but what are you talking about? But we're here to talk about Nick and who are some potential opponents for him. Well, listen, the body of work that he's had, 39 years old, he's been in the UFC since 2003. Yes, dipped out and fought some other places, but still, come on. The man's a legend, and if you look at the last fight, you know, he's certainly towards the end of his career. So we're not talking Khamzats, we're not talking title fights, we're talking big name fights, fan favourite fights, potential co-main events on pay-per-views that everyone's going to watch that will be competitive. Okay, so the first one that springs to mind, I'm just going to come out with it and you might think I'm crazy. Conor McGREGOR.
The main thing to succeed in this game is to either be me or fight me. Everything else is peanuts.
Nick Diaz versus Conor McGREGOR. We never thought we were going to see Diaz versus McGREGOR 3, but here we go. But it's not the Diaz that we all thought it was going to be. Diaz, Nate, is fighting Khamzat, and he'll be out the door. He'll be down the road. He'll be doing whatever he wants to do, fighting Jake Paul, fighting Bernacle FC. We don't know. I'll tell you what I do think. I think we might see Nate Diaz come back to the UFC and re-sign one day. But that's another video. We're talking about Nick. Conor McGREGOR, okay? He's fighting at 170. He's bulked up a lot. He's put a lot of weight on. I don't think he's going to see 155 anytime soon. With McGregor, there's talks of this Floyd Money Mayweather rematch in boxing. Dana White has shut that down. He said, I would need dementia to get involved with that once again. And the reality is, he's under contract with the UFC. So if that's not going to happen, he's going to come back, McGregor, and he's going to fight. He wants to fight. And you have to respect that about McGregor because he's got a ton of money. He doesn't need to, but he loves it, okay? Nick Diaz is the perfect opponent. They're both 170. It's a winnable fight for both men, right? Nick Diaz will bring it each and every time. There's a fucking epic storyline because he already beat up his little brother. You know what I mean? All right, fair dues. Nate Diaz got him once. Next time, McGregor got him. Didn't really beat him up. What am I saying? But still, there is a storyline. And Nate Diaz will probably be in the corner just to make it a little bit more fun. And who's not going to buy that fight? Who's not going to tune into that fight? Conor McGregor versus Nick Diaz. So there's option one. Option two, Matt Brown. Matt Brown, like Nick Diaz, has been around this sport for the longest time. He's an absolute fan favourite. I love everything about him. I love the approach. I love how violent he is. I love how mean he is. He is just a mean son of a bitch. Those elbows that he constantly lands. And Matt Brown is still looking on fine form. So I think that's a good one as well. Nick Diaz, Matt Brown, sensational fight. Another one, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that fight? And what do these all have in common? None of them are really wrestlers. Well, none of them are wrestlers. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's going to go out there. He's going to use his point karate style fighting. And he's going to go head to head with Nick Diaz, right? That's going to be a fun fight. Again, Wonderboy Thompson getting towards the end of his career with respect. I love Wonderboy. I love his body of work. I love his career. I love his approach. I love his style. I love what a nice person he is. But he's getting to the late 30s, okay? You can't go on forever. So these are logical fights. McGregor, though, that would be the number one pick for me. It would. And I think it would be a number one pick for everyone else. For McGregor, he would love that. It's a big name. I mean, let's be honest. He called out, who did he call out? He called out Diego Sanchez to fight him in Dublin. So if he's willing to fight Diego Sanchez, he's willing to fight Nick Diaz. That's for goddamn sure. So Conor McGregor, Nick Diaz, pay-per-view. The only problem is, the only wrinkle is, if McGregor fights, it's always a main event. Okay, so I don't think Nick would come in as a main event. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. So I guess Matt Brown would be a sensational one. It really would. I mean, what a fun fight that would be. As would Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Anyway, the point of the video is Cesar Gracie says that Nick Diaz is coming back. Cesar Gracie explained why Nick Diaz didn't look himself against Robbie Lawler. And by the way, that's no disrespect to Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler went out there, fought a tremendous fight and was the better man on the night. But Nick Diaz looked heavy in the midsection. He didn't seem himself. So it all kind of makes sense. The good news is, as a fan of Nick Diaz, a fan of this sport, we'll get to see Nick Diaz in the octagon, hopefully fighting to his ability level, to his potential. And against McGregor, come on. Wonderboy Thompson, Matt Brown, any of those work, sign me up, take my money, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. And let me know down there in the comments, who do you think Nick Diaz should fight in his return when he does finally make it? Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care.